Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and welcome back to a very sudden Alex Asks. We're just going straight back into the normal schedule to keep things nice and tight and stop me from going off the rails again, because that happens occasionally. But we're back, and it has been, you've not even had one video buffer. We're going straight in with my last question, which was forgotten. With the Nintendo Switch coming out, what is the fate of the 3DS and the new 3DS and the 2DS and all that good stuff? And here's just what a few of you had to say. It's rather a frightening image to open up on. Reed Martinez says, hopefully the 3DS doesn't die in 2017. There are still so many great games to play on it. Damn my backlog. I don't think you've got too much to worry about, because even if support is dropped in 2017 for the 3DS, new 3DS, 2DS, all that stuff, if support is generally dropped for it, then you should still be alright, because I mean, you've got your backlog, you can see you're still going to be able to play the system. Nintendo's not going to come around, you're not going to get Miyamoto come to your door and say, hello, I have come to receive your 3DS. And he puts a gun in your face and it all gets a little bit ugly. That doesn't happen. You don't have to worry. Mizell for fans says, while I think the 3DS will not get any more first-party games at all, I'm sure there will still be licensed movie video games, for instance Moana 3DS, Rogue One 3DS, and Despicable Me 3 3DS coming out in the next 2 years or so. It is entirely possible. I mean, we had Olaf's Quest on the DS, and that was long after the DS has essentially died, for lack of a better term, but that was a very particular set of circumstances. Frozen was a huge hit. The 3D, sorry, not the 3DS, the original DS was such a massive, massive system with a huge install base. It made sense to have it come out on both systems because people still had these old consoles. So I can see why they did that. I don't know whether they're going to continue to do that, but who knows? It's not entirely impossible. Although Rogue One 3DS, I do think that's a bit unlikely. But if it did want to happen, then you get the thumbs up from me, whatever developer you are. Factor 5, do it. Pizza Wolf is here, which is a phenomenal name. Said the 3DS will die in December and the Nintendo Switch will be backwards compatible with the 3DS and the DS. I would not hold your breath for such a thing. Whilst it's true that the Switch does use cartridges, they seem totally different to the 3DS and DS cartridges. I know that there's, you know, sort of, it was only sort of promotional stuff, so that may not be the final shape of the Switch cartridges, but it does run on cartridges. But the thing is that even if they were to have a separate slot a la, you know, the DS had the GBA slot in it, like right up there. I do think that that's a little bit unlikely, because then you've got to try and integrate the touch controls, which, you know, let's be honest, the Switch is going to be a touchscreen. If it's not, I will honestly eat a shoe. It may not be a real shoe, but a shoe nonetheless. And then you've got to try and get the dual screen thing going, and, you know, do you have them sideways or just have one big screen and one small screen and things like that. It's not an easy thing to be able to be backwards compatible with. It works on the 3DS with the DS, because obviously two screens were on one touchscreen. There wasn't a lot of difference, but there's a huge amount of difference with the Switch. So whilst it's not impossible, it is, I would say, unlikely. Solar7 says, I believe the 3DS will leave the Nintendo family and become the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In Southwest Kyoto, born and raised, cramped apartments is where I spent most of my days. Rindy Insane /BSG says the 3DS will still be supported, however Nintendo will make the new 2DS and then discontinue all other models. That way the 2DS is marketed towards kids and kids only, with the Switch targeted at an older demographic. That's a nice idea in a way, but it would sort of be missing the whole point, because I think with Nintendo they're really trying to push the whole sort of tablet market, which is predominantly kids. They want to get the Switch out into the hands of as many people as possible. They're going to try and push the older market, but the thing is, in the past, products that have been targeted towards an older market nearly always appeal to the children as well, because they think it's cool and grown up. So they'd be killing two birds with one stone. That's one of the reasons why in the UK especially, Sega had much greater foothold over here than Nintendo ever did. We basically had almost zero interest in the NES back in the day. That was before I was born even. Even the SNES, you know, not many people owned one. People generally had Mega Drives, and that's, you know, that's just how it was. So maybe Nintendo were trying to build on that good old 90s way of trying to be cool. Smithy Boy says the 3DS will have 1 year left in it, and then there will be the HDS, because Nintendo likes puns, and have the ultimate 2DS console. Plus we can have HD ports of 3D games, 3D ports of HD games, e.g. the Wind Waker HD for 3DS HD. Why not? Why not? Why don't we have that? That would be a lot of fun. You could have Star Fox 64 3D HD. That would be fun as well. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Why not? Many reasons. Wag033 says the 3DS is going to turn into the Wii and become the modding machine. Yes, the Wii is really heavy in the homebrew and modding and things like that. And yeah, I suppose, you know, when the update support goes on the 3DS, that could well happen, to be honest with you. I can sort of see it being more difficult because it doesn't have an SD. Oh no, it does have an SD card port. What the hell am I talking about? But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have a USB port, and whilst, you know, sort of there will be people who will still mod the 3DS, in fact there are people out there who already mod the 3DS, I do think it's less likely to just go, you know, be as open and as accessible as the Wii, because it doesn't have the interface. Well, it has an interface obviously, but it's not as easy and straightforward and sort of universal as the Wii. So it'll happen, but I don't know whether it'll be on the scale of the Wii. Who knows? Get Mad says, so many people will get on the bandwagon of the 1000 degree knife challenge to the point where so many people do it to the 3DS that there will only be 7 systems left in the world and pricing them at levels of cost unimaginable. Aside from the more obvious humor, the cost unimaginable. Cost unimaginable. I just like that phrasing. You can use that phrasing whenever you like, anyone out there, because I think it's good. It's like a time immemorial. It's that sort of a usage of syntax, and it's fun. I enjoy it. And the comment was funny as well. Eric D says, the Switch has a button that pops out a second screen below, and it is actually the new 3DS. Oh, if only. Richie Pete says, the 3DS will continue on if the Switch is unsuccessful, but if the Switch is a hit, it'll die off rather quickly. That's actually a very sensible idea, you know, sort of hedging your bets and things like that, but I don't know whether Nintendo would do that, because I'm sure they really want to go all out with this new system. Because the 3DS, it's getting tired, it's getting old, and whilst they could continue support for it, and it could be a good little back burner like they did with the Wii U, you know, the 3DS was still earning nicely for them, especially in Japan. I do think the Switch is going to overtake it, you know, or at least Nintendo are going to try and make it overtake. They won't say that because they don't want people to think, oh, I won't bother buying a 3DS. They want people to be buying 3DSs right up until the time that they cancel production. So obviously they're not going to say that, but I do think the Switch will overtake it. But it's an idea. I don't think it's likely, but it's a nice way of thinking. Okay, now this next comment, I've included it because you, the user who wrote it, you have the most wonderful, charming name I've ever read on YouTube. Please don't ever change your name. Mottled Wren, such a lovely name, said, I hope they'll keep the 3DS games. I can see it being dropped if the portability of the Switch does well, but then they'd have to start bringing some of the handheld exclusives onto it. I'm assuming like Pokemon, which they're potentially doing with Pokemon Stars, we think, maybe, we don't know. I think if the portable side of the Switch, you know, sort of the idea of taking it around with you, if that doesn't do well, then the whole system will kind of collapse because it won't have an awful lot going for it. The whole idea is that you can have it at home and you can use it as a home console, but then you can pick it up and take it and you can continue the same game elsewhere. And I think if that is so key to the Switch, that it's what the name is based on. If that fails, they might as well just give up. And finally, Jack Frost 25 says, Nintendo will continue to port main console Switch games over to the 3DS in 2017, with such classics as Link and Epona's Breath of the Wild. Link and Epona's Breath of the Wild, I love it. And Mario Galaxy 3 Abridged 3D gracing our shelves. You know, generally I see far more silly comments than I see genuine comments in these videos and things, and I do try and do more serious comments on the whole, with the occasional funny one, but occasionally you just see one and you just sort of think, yes, that is a good comment, and you stick it in. That's what you've done there. Well done, Jack Frost 25. Massive thanks to everybody who left a comment. Unfortunately, I can't read all of your comments out because they are too many. But you do have a chance to get one of your comments read out in the next episode. And so my question for you this week is a little bit different, and you won't be able to answer it until Friday, and you'll see why. What were your favorite and least favorite parts of the Nintendo Switch presentation in Japan on Friday the 13th or Friday the 12th, depending on where you live? As this is being recorded and uploaded long before that even happens, you're gonna have to use your imagination and actually watch the presentation and let us know what you think about it. I can't give you any examples because it hasn't happened, so when that does happen, come Friday, let us know what you think down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you have an opinion about something you haven't even seen 5 days before it even happens, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.